Check 1, 2.
Go! Curious about real estate? Yes! Then you've come to the right place. Get the knowledge you need. Get over the fear and get started. This is the Michael Quarles Real Estate Show with your host, Michael Quarles.
Hello, everybody. Michael Quarles with Podcast 109. In today's podcast, we have the 5 questions sent in by real estate investors like yourself who had a question and needed an answer. And remember, if you have a question, send it to support at bsffacademy.com. Here we go. Question number 1. Is it highly encouraged to call the seller back a second time and go over the script again? If so, should this be done if on the first call the seller is highly motivated and ready to sell? We always call back the sellers. We call them back depending on if we made an offer. If we didn't make an offer, we call them back at 15, 30, 60, and 90. And we don't use the same script. We're just following up with you and to see if things have changed. And if they have changed, then we're going to go in the script again and ask all the questions. If they're highly motivated in the first place, we would have scheduled an appointment to make them an offer. And at that rate, we're going to call them back at 3, 7, and 10 to follow up on that offer if they didn't actually sign our contract. If after 10, they haven't signed our contract, we're still going to then follow up at 15, 30, 60, and 90. So we're always going to follow up. Sometimes we will fall back into the same script. Sometimes we won't. So great question. I hope I answered that correctly. Question number 2. My wife and I work together to call sellers back. Should one of us act as an Alex and make the initial call and the other act as a Ryan and call the seller back to ask the same questions over again? If you listen to the Alex and the Ryan live seller calls, you'll notice that that Ryan is asking different and similar questions. So they're confirming what information that Alex received, and then they're going to start into negotiation. If there are 2 of you, that would be great. There's nothing wrong with that. Absolutely would be great. So yes, whichever one of you want to be Alex and the other one Ryan, outstanding. Just know that the scripts are a little bit different. Now, if you're a coaching student and using the seller script 1 and 2, the same person does everything. So you can use the Ryan and Alex script, or you can use the seller script 1 and 2. Question number 3. Do you ever subject to land? I have an opportunity in Lancaster to acquire land subject to for $20,000 an acre. Is this a good move? It's only a good move if the land is worth $40,000 an acre, and you can prove that. And you're in high demand for the land. Subject to, and you have an asset that's worth twice as much as what you're going to sub to it at, fall forward. Keep in mind, I think you should make everybody aware of the ramifications of buying something subject to, and if you use my purchase agreement, it does that. But I don't have an opportunity in that. Now, if it's only 1 acre, I'm not going to get excited about that. But if it's multiple acres, where I can see some money to be made, absolutely. Question number 4. I once read where an investor tried to hotel a property but ended up losing several $1,000s to an addition to the property that wasn't previously permitted. Was this just a careless mistake on his part during due diligence? What could he have done to find out about the illegal addition prior to buying the property? Well, you can pretty much guarantee or count on if the assessor says, county assessor's office, which is in charge of receiving the building department permit and increase in square footage and then calculating the property tax based upon that increase. You can pretty much be certain if the assessor says it's one size and yet it's a bigger size when you put a tape to it, there probably wasn't a permit. Now I know of at least 2 non-permitted houses that had, or they were permitted houses that had a non-permitted or unpermitted addition. One of which was an enclosed garage. We just created the garage out of it again, not a big deal. The other one was a very nicely constructed remodel, and they added about 1,100 square foot, but we couldn't utilize that square footage and value because it wasn't permitted. So here's what we did. I hired an engineer, and engineers are great because they can see through walls. They can see in concrete. They can see everything that the building department can't see. So if they go out to the house and during their due diligence, certify the house, so they sign it off. They said, yes, everything I see tells me that there's rebar in the concrete. Everything I see says that the sheetrock was nailed on with 1 3/8 or 1 5/8 sheetrock nails, that there's insulation in the walls, that the wiring, that the things that we can't see are actually there. And there's tools and stuff that they can use to determine if there's 6x6 wire mesh in the concrete. There's tools they can use. But the reality at the end of the day, they're using their license and stamping that the property has been built to code. Once you have that stamp, you go down and you buy your permit, and there you have it. You're done. Now you have a permitted addition. So it was absolutely a case in someone not knowing that that's available. So great question.
Thanks for listening to Buy, Sell, Fix, Flip. We'll be right back. Are you running out of leads? It's time you tried Yellow Letters at yellowletters.com. Get motivated seller leads through yellow letters, postcards, zip letters, typed professional letters, greeting cards, door hangers, and business cards. Yellow Letters is a full-service marketing company created with your success in mind. Get the personal attention you need to get your direct mail campaign started, and get in touch at yellowletters.com.
And we are back in 3, 2, 1.
Question number 5. In my city, there is a requirement to have an inspection done by a person licensed by the city before a property can be sold. The buyer then has to sign a statement saying they will fix the listed code problems within the 90 days and can't resell the house until they have a re-inspection showing the fixes. I've been told that the only way to wholesale or hotel in this city would be to do an assignment, which I know you hate, or buy property with an LLC, then sell the LLC. Is this the only route, or are there other options? What would you do? Well, I certainly wouldn't wholesale, yuck. And I certainly wouldn't create a trust or a corporation or an LLC just to pass the property along. Why wouldn't I just have the inspection done, and I'm buying it as is, so I have the inspection done and we fix it, and then whatever it takes. Now you're saying that it has to be fixed before it can be sold. So what? So get it fixed. It's no big deal. I mean, we don't want to do things the wrong way, and trying to hide something is the wrong way. I mean, if real estate investing isn't that hard, so we just, call your inspector out, have them come out if that's the requirement. And they say, hey, you got to bring all your electrical up to code. You got to do this, you got to do that, you got to do that, you got to do that. No big deal. Just do it. Okay? It's real easy. Maybe you get an option on the contract, on the property, so you have the right to buy it. Maybe you get a contract for deed, so you have the right to buy it, so title's never changing until a performance is done, and the performance would be the work being done, so it can be re-inspected and then transfer of title occur. But there's all kinds of ways to do it right. You don't have to hide behind anything. So, just fall forward. I don't see the issue there. So to recap, call the seller back the second time, going over the script again. You're going to use a little bit different script if they didn't buy the house or sign your contract, and the follow-up question's a little bit different. But once they are now motivated and say, hey, I raised my hand and I want you to come out, then you're going to go back to the script and ask the same questions again to confirm the answers. Wife and you work together, use the Alex and Ryan, that's perfect. Subject to land, if it's an opportunity, the land's worth 40, twice as much as what you're paying for. Yeah, fall forward. You have to look at the exposure. You have to look at, what the underlying cost is of that subject to, how much it's going to cost you, how fast you can sell the land. If it's, another thought, if If it's never going to sell kind of stuff, well, then you've got $20,000 worth of subject to mortgage payments to make, and you may not want to do that. But if it's going to sell and you know it's going to sell and things tell you it's going to sell, then yeah, fall forward. As far as, permitting and unpermitted, non-permitted addition, just get an engineer out there and a structural engineer or foundation engineer, one of those guys. It's going to cost you $1,000. They're going to do some plans and draw up some stuff and stamp their red thing, and it's just how it is. And as far as the last question about inspections that are done or required by the city before you can sell something, I just don't see that as an issue. Now, for those of you who are listening that don't know what the Ryan and the Alex is, I post on my Academy site live calls from my Alex and my Ryan staff with sellers. So you can actually hear seller deals being done live. Well, we remove the names and phone numbers and that sort of thing of the people, so it's privacy issues. But you can actually hear a daily deal. So every day we post one of a deal we did, and you can hear live phone calls happening, how it sounds, how it doesn't sound, and those are up on the Academy site. We do charge, I think it's $49.97 a month to listen to those, but I think there's so much value in that, well worth the small fee that it is. Appreciate you guys writing in, and talk to you next time. Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to the Michael Quarles Real Estate Show. Get more info and stay in touch at michaelquarles.com.